welcome to the digital edition of Black and Blue Kickoff Live. I am Josh Sims, and we are fresh off a bye week and ready to dive into this week's matchup for the Panthers and the Broncos. But before we get this show started, make sure you follow along on Twitter. Take out your phones, folks, and make sure you follow along and use the hashtag BBKL for a chance to win some free merch. All you got to do is answer our weekly giveaway question, but we can't give it to you just now. We want you to watch the show, so stay around. We'll give that to you in just a little bit. But first, we have to get to the story of the week for the Carolina Panthers. We learned today how COVID-19 has spread throughout this team. Now, according to Dr. Alan Sills, NFL's chief medical officer, the Panthers' COVID transmission was linked back to players gathering outside the facility during the bye week, according to Joe Person of The Athletic. Now, this is something that could lead the team to get a hefty fine. Remember, the Saints and Patriots were both most notably hit with fines this season for breaking the league's coronavirus policies. Now, the good news is, after placing 8 players on the reserve COVID-19 list on Monday, the Panthers did not have any new positive COVID-19 tests for a second straight day. And for now, it looks like the Panthers are on track for Sunday's games, and you know what's probably going to happen? Christian McCaffrey returning, something we've been waiting for several weeks now since he went out in that Kansas City game. But unfortunately, McCaffrey had a little setback today. He tweaked his quad, which he injured last week, and then it tightened up on him today in practice. Matt Rule says he is limited, and they're going to have him be day-to-day for Sunday's game. Now, this could be a big game for CMC and his family, with connections, of course, to the Denver Broncos. Remember, McCaffrey grew up a huge Broncos fan. His father, Ed McCaffrey, was a tight end in the late 90s for Denver, winning 3 rings with the team. Now, the guys got a full week to rest up. McCaffrey hopefully will be back. I got to say, I saw the video of him in practice. I know he was limited, but his limited is like better than most people's 100%. Either way, the virus may have sidelined some guys like DJ Moore, potentially Curtis Samuel, but the Cats still have this game to play on Sunday, and the Broncos are coming to town fresh off their Sunday night date with the Chiefs, who, like the Panthers, almost pulled the upset over that Kansas City team. However, don't be fooled by the Broncos' 4-8 record. Similar to the Panthers, they are stingy. They've been in a lot of these games and lost one-possession games more times than you could count this season. Now, they got a staunch running game, Melvin Gordon, mixed with an explosive couple weapons on the outside. So don't expect a cakewalk for the Panthers. Here's what the guys had to say about this matchup with the Broncos.
They're number 1 in the NFL in red zone defense, so they win the situations. And they're a good football team. So I think for us, just going back and watching, as you said, they've had some close losses, but I think the wins tell you a lot about who they are and, the ethos of what they stand for, the way that they want to play. And it's a rugged, physical, challenge you style that I respect.
Just got to be the best version of Teddy that I can be, and that's playing fast, getting the ball out of my hands, allowing my guys to make plays, being efficient, not turning the ball over, showing that we can win a game down the stretch in 2 minutes, scoring touchdowns in the red zone, being aggressive. I think if I could just do all of those things, I'll be able to walk away from this season pleased with, some of the things that may have happened.
It does a lot for your confidence if you can come out here and you can play good ball and play smart, disciplined ball. It does a lot for your confidence coming back. For OTAs next year, you're just gonna have a little bit more confidence. You're gonna move a little bit different. You're just gonna feel yourself a little bit more because your last few showings, you really did what you had to do.
All right, so I can't do this alone, so I got a friend joining me right now from WNCT in Greenville, Nolan Knight. Nolan, thanks for joining me, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks so much for having me. Excited for the game this Sunday.
Yeah, excited if the Panthers can get a win. I mean, that would be great. Yeah. So let's dive into this matchup. COVID-19 hitting this team hard this week. It looks like DJ Moore and possibly Curtis Samuel and some other guys like Shaq Thompson, Greg Little might miss this game. So how does this change the game plan for the Panthers heading into Sunday?
Everyone's had to deal with COVID this season, and the Panthers, they've been a little lucky. They haven't had to deal with it that often. They've been able to stay out of the headlines more so than maybe some other teams. But with the 8 players that are out, the defensive line looks pretty weak. This not so deep this upcoming Sunday against the Denver Broncos. And when you look at the matchup, these two, you kind of mentioned it when we were coming into this. So these two teams are kind of similar. A lot of one possession losses throughout throughout the season. But with DJ Moore being out of this game, Curtis Samuel being out of this game, if they can get CMC back into the lineup, that'll fill those gaps that Curtis Samuel kind of has been filling into with CMC out.
Yeah, and speaking of CMC, this is a guy that now has a tweaked quad. He's got a banged up shoulder, limited in practice. He's day-to-day. Would you cut him loose and let him play on Sunday, or given the setback he kind of had today, would you kind of hold him out for another week?
You know, you invested in Christian McCaffrey over the offseason, right? And you haven't quite gotten that return so far this season with the injuries that he's had to face. But when he has been in, you know, he's been phenomenal. 6 scores for the Carolina Panthers this season. Mike Davis has stepped up and has been a great addition to this offense that's been trying to generate a lot of different things. But, you know, he's only found the end zone 5 times. Christian McCaffrey's played in 3 games and has found pay dirt 6 times. So you can't really quantify the impact that Christian McCaffrey has. He's probably the biggest threat out of the backfield in the NFL. And so when you lose that dynamic to your team, that's what makes other teams be able to, you know, get a win over you. And that kind of gives you the tail of the tape with the close losses that the Panthers have had this season. You got to be cautious with them. You hate for a very serious injury to happen, but to have him just in the backfield and make, you know, teams, you know, stack the box maybe a little more than they would have, that's what's going to open up lanes for you and give you a win over a team that matches up well against you.
Yeah, no, I've been so torn on this because McCaffrey, like you said, is a guy they invested a lot of money into, is a guy that a part of the future of this franchise. He is the face of this franchise. You want him to be healthy down the road, but also it's hard to tell a guy like McCaffrey, hey man, we're going to sit you out this game and probably the rest of the season, because that's the smart thing to do, because he's an athlete. These guys are built differently. So good luck telling McCaffrey to sit out. If he's like, I feel like if he's like 75%, he's going to want to go for this game. But either way, we got to talk tight ends in this one, because the Panthers have faced some good ones this season. Darren Waller had a good game against them. Rob Gronkowski played decently well. We saw Travis Kelce just light him up, 10 receptions, 159 yards. And now you got Noah Fant coming to town. This is a guy whose numbers don't really stand out that much to you. They're not eye-popping, but he could pose some issues. Do you see that being an issue, especially with who is going to be on him, whether it's Jermaine Carter or whether it's Jeremy Chin this weekend?
The thing about the Broncos offense is that it's pretty versatile. There's not that many position groups that are way better than the other. And because of that, that's what makes Fant a weapon in this offense, is that they have Melvin Gordon out of the backfield. They have some go-to receivers like the rookie on the outside. And that's what makes the tight end a dangerous position. A lot of times when you see teams like the Buccaneers you brought up with Rob Gronkowski, you know, the reason the tight ends are so good and they have the ability to be playmakers is because some of the best defenders have to be guarding other players. You know, Christian McCaffrey, Travis Kelce has obviously Tyreek Hill on the outside, and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are guys that open up the lanes for guys like Kelce and Rob Gronkowski, and that's what has made Fant a weapon in this Denver offense. Is that the fact that they have other playmakers elsewhere, and he's able to find himself on some slip streaks and whatnot, which get him open and get him in the end zone. And that's the reason he's been a nightmare for defenses all season.
All right, so the Broncos' defense in the red zone is one of the best in the league. The Panthers' offense in the red zone is one of the worst in the league. So not really a good recipe for success, but how confident are you that the Panthers have fixed their red zone issues throughout the bye week and can actually score when they get down there this weekend?
Much needed bye week, as you brought up. That it came at the perfect time for them. They've been a little banged up, obviously, with McCaffrey. If you get him into the backfield, that fixes all your problems, doesn't it? I mean, you put him back there, and all of a sudden you can find the end zone, and that's been the issue with them throughout this season. The Broncos, you know, they match up so well, and when you say they match up so well with the Panthers, I mean, they're almost, it's like looking in the mirror between these two teams with the talent they have and where they have the talent, the way the games have gone all season, and where they're good, where they're bad. And the Broncos, what has kept them in games this year is that red zone defense. But you put Christian McCaffrey in the backfield and say, hey, do you mind getting us 10 yards to the 5-yard line and then 5 5 yards into the end zone, and that's the type of guy that can do it for you. And the answer to all of these red zone woes for the Panthers, I think, begins and stops with CMC.
Yeah, I mean, they most famously said that their best chance of succeeding in the red zone is being able to run the ball. And who's the best running back on this team and one of the best in the league? It's Christian McCaffrey. So no wonder they have struggled this season. All right, so now it's time to put you on the hot seat, Nolan. Who are you taking in this game where you're looking at basically yourself in the mirror? Panthers and Broncos, both 4-8, same team. Who's winning?
You know, what I like a lot about the Panthers this season is the willingness to change cultures and the willingness to address what the problems are and try to fix those. And then that's what Matt Rule has brought to Charlotte this season. And because of that, they are looking for these statements wins. They're looking for these culture wins. And this would be a prime example of against a good team, a beatable team in the Denver Broncos. I think the Panthers do get it done if Christian McCaffrey plays. It's going to be tough without some help with DJ Moore and Curtis Samuel out. But because McCaffrey's back in the lineup, because the culture is changing, they had the bye week ahead of time, I'll take the Panthers.
All right, there. I like it. Take the Panthers. I'll have to wait and give out my prediction for the pregame show on Sunday, but you might have swayed me to go Panthers. I don't know. Either way, Nolan, appreciate your time, man. We'll talk to you soon.
No problem. Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
All right, folks. So pull out your phones. It's time for this week's giveaway question. We're doing a little over-under action. Christian McCaffrey will have over 150 total yards from scrimmage on Sunday. What do you think? Tweet us your answer using the hashtag BBKL for a chance to win some swag. And the big show is this Sunday, and we got the whole crew back with us. Will Kunkel back from his little bye week. Carla Gebhardt, Al Wallace, Kevin Connolly, and some guests as always. And that show starts at 10 a.m. on Sunday. Check your local Next Star station for all of the info. All right, folks, so I want to say thanks for joining us. And while you're still watching, make sure you hit that like button on Facebook and on Twitter. Remember, use the hashtag BBKL for giveaways. We do this thing every Wednesday night. So see you back here next week, same time. Enjoy, and let's hope the Panthers get a win this Sunday. Take care, everyone.